the headlines of this hour on VTV News. State President launches 2024 Spring Tree Planting Festival. And let's take a look at the first day of work after Tet holiday. In our world news, PRABOWO SUBIANTO on track to win Indonesia presidential race.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Good afternoon. It is 3 p.m. local time and you're watching VTV News. I'm Huyen Tan with the top stories. On the first working day after the Lunar New Year holiday, State President Võ Văn Thưởng launched the 2024 Spring Tree Planting Festival in Tuyên Quang Province on Thursday morning. The theme of the festival is Eternally Grateful to Uncle Ho. 3 years after the launch of the 1 billion trees project for 2021 to 2025, the entire country has already planted 770 million trees, exceeding the planned target by 121%. The state president commended the active participation of localities, agencies, and units in the Tet tree planting movement. He emphasized the increasingly severe consequences of climate change and the country's unwavering commitment to sustainable development. The state president urged all levels, branches, and localities to select indigenous plants and multi-purpose forest plants that can thrive in the area's weather, soil, and crop conditions. Planting trees is a beautiful and meaningful action that demonstrates Vietnam's responsibility and efforts in addressing global challenges alongside the international community. Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính chaired a meeting of the standing government to evaluate the organization of the Tet event and discuss key tasks after the holiday. At all levels, branches, and localities, the directive and the Secretariat and the Prime Minister on organizing a Tet celebration has been seriously and effectively implemented. Social security work, in particular, has been well carried out. There is an abundant supply of goods at stable prices, and cultural activities and festivals are taking place vibrantly. This is also the first Tet after the United Nations officially recognized it as an annual holiday. Now concluding the meeting, Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính acknowledged and thanked the ministries, localities, and relevant forces for their efforts during Tet to ensure political stability, social order, and safety. He also praised the press agencies, particularly Vietnam Television, for providing timely news updates and attractive holiday programs. Regarding key tasks after Tet, the Prime Minister requested businesses to continue promoting production, creating more jobs, and improving institutions to mobilize all resources for national development. Chairman of the National Assembly Vương Đình Huệ met with and extended Tet greetings to the agencies of the National Assembly, the National Assembly Standing Committee, and all employees of the National Assembly's office. The chairman expressed his joy at the busy yet successful year that the National Assembly, the National Assembly Standing Committee, and the National Assembly's agencies had. He hopes that more efforts will be made in 2024 to accelerate the achievement of socio-economic targets. Additionally, the chairman emphasized the importance of the National Assembly continuing to promote professionalism, democracy, and legislation that prioritizes the interests of the people and businesses. During the same morning, the National Assembly chairman visited the Vietnam Cooperative Bank and the State Audit to extend New Year wishes. He commended the agencies for effectively fulfilling their roles in managing credit funds and regulating the audit industry, and he expressed his wish for further achievements in their future endeavors. Today, February 15, marks the 6th day of the Lunar Year and also the first day when offices across the country resume regular operations. The following story was recorded in Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City.
At the Dong Ngo Ward People's Committee, the Receiving and Returning Results Department has been open since 7:30 a.m. It takes only 5 minutes for each individual to complete the task.
I have registered for the procedure through the online public service. With the application of information technology, it is very convenient.
On the first day of work, everyone who came was satisfied, as they had a good start to the year. The representative of the People's Committee of Zonal Ward mentioned that the ward officials arrived early to clean up and prepare for work.
We ensure that administrative procedures are carried out smoothly and completed within the same day for individuals.
To ensure efficient public service from the very first working day, agencies and units in Ho Chi Minh City are committed to implementing administrative discipline. After the long Tet holiday, officials have returned to work with renewed energy. Many units have set goals and expectations for the new year, creating a sense of urgency and seriousness in the working atmosphere right from the beginning of the year.
The consultants seemed to work efficiently, so everything went according to my expectations.
To avoid making people wait for too long after the long Tet holiday, the civil servants here arrived early and started working immediately, considering the anxious psychology of waiting.
In 2024, we will continue to simplify administrative procedures and add new content in accordance with regulations to better serve people.
The goal of any administrative agency in this new year is to ensure people's satisfaction after completing procedures.
In Hanoi, supermarkets and traditional markets also started to reopen on Wednesday. This year, some places opened later than they did last year. On the first day of reopening, the shopping atmosphere was very exciting. There was an abundance of goods and no price increases was observed.
Long Biên Market opens at 10 p.m. every Wednesday. The market is filled with trucks carrying agricultural products, catering to the shopping needs of the new year. Hoa store remains open throughout Tet. The market offers a wide variety of goods in large quantities, attracting mainly wholesalers from various provinces.
All goods have sold out. The prices are even cheaper than last year. For instance, a box of imported apples could cost up to $274, but this year the price has remained the same, both before and after Tet.
This supermarket chain opened 2 days ago. The most crowded area is the fresh food section, where vegetables, fruits, and raw meat are consistently supplied fresh.
I just returned to the city from my hometown to work, so choosing a supermarket is very convenient because it has all kinds of items. Instead of having to go to the traditional market, I have to go to many different places.
Most families have gotten rid of the habit of overstocking food. In the past, after the holiday, there was still food left for several months. Nowadays, in big cities, it is convenient to shop at supermarkets, which open very early.
With the current purchasing power after 2 days of opening, we are ensuring a supply and customer growth of 15 to 20%. Additionally, the most chosen items after Tet are fresh foods such as vegetables and fruits.
At markets and supermarkets, there is an abundance of food items, and prices remain stable. This is a positive signal in the context of people's tendency to reduce consumption.
Officered soldiers and residents of Cheung Sao Island District, Khánh Hòa Province, organized a tree planting ceremony. Following the launch, the collective of officers, soldiers, and households on the islands participated in planting and caring for over 3,000 trees, including more than 1,000 newly planted trees of various kinds. The 4th Regional Command stated that in recent years, officers and soldiers have consistently taken an active part in the movement to plant, care for, and protect trees in Cheung Sa Island District. Now let's take a look at the foreign exchange rate of today, February 15th. Coming up next on VTV News. Plantation of large forest trees provide economic and environmental benefits. And Hương Pagoda Festival officially opens. The export turnover of Vietnamese fruit and vegetables to the European Union has increased considerably over recent years, from $200 million in 2022 to $399 million in 2023, making the EU the third largest consumer of Vietnamese products. Businesses are still seeking to boost the export of these products to the EU to take full advantage of tariff incentives from the EU-Vietnam Free Trade Agreement, or EVFTA. And the export turnover is therefore expected to grow by 20% or more in the coming years, according to Vietnam Fruit and Vegetable Association, or VinaFruit. Spring is the tree planting festival. This year's festival is being strongly promoted in many localities. In response to the effects of climate change, tree planting timing, plans, and strategies have been adjusted to ensure effectiveness. One important aspect is the development of large timber forests. More in the following.
One forest, one human life. This saying is deeply cherished by Vũ Văn Tường, a war invalid from Tiền Hải District, Thái Bình Province. After dedicating nearly 40 years to planting over 140,000 trees, Tường firmly believes that nurturing large trees over an extended period is the most beneficial path to follow.
We maintain this forest to preserve its beauty and increase its resilience to future climate change. Each year, we expand it by planting trees on any available land.
In areas prone to natural disaster and storm, the planting of large timber forests becomes even more essential. An example of this is the Acacia Garden in Quảng Trị, which serves as evidence. Despite experiencing numerous rainy and stormy seasons, this achievement is not a coincidence, but rather the result of strategic effort by both scientists and authorities.
People should plant dense forests and use native seed sources to minimize the impact of wind and storms. It is also important to ensure the recommended density in order to avoid damage caused by storms. We continue to build models of association and cooperation between households and cooperatives to ensure a large enough forest area. Every year, we plant new trees to minimize risks and, at the same time, provide income for people annually.
In the high mountains of Nam Trà My, Quảng Nam, cinnamon gardens has been planted for many generations, have brought prosperity to the descendants of the family. Vietnam has set a goal to have 1 million hectares of large timber forests by 2030.
Thursday marks the official opening day of the Hương Pagoda Festival in Hanoi. The organizers have devised plans to prevent long-lasting congestion. Now, in the initial days of the festival, the organizing committee replaced paper tickets with electronic ones. Simultaneously, they have enhanced the arrangement of boats, restaurants, and traffic flow. 4 designated parking areas offer a total capacity of 5,000 parking spaces. Additionally, gathering spots have been set up to discourage chaotic parking. Currently, there are 3,800 to 4,500 well-equipped boats ready to serve customers. Thousands of people gathered at Đống Đa Cultural Park in Hanoi on Wednesday, the 5th day of the first lunar month, to participate in a festival commemorating King Quang Trung victory over foreign invaders 235 years ago. The festival aims to promote the tradition of patriotism and national pride among Vietnamese people.
Thousands of people attended the Đống Đa festival early in the morning. The procession was followed by an incense offering ceremony at the statue of King Quang Trung, along with the recitation of epic poems that praise his victory.
We attend this festival every year. The festival reminds Vietnamese people to pay tribute to and be grateful for the greatest leaders in history who sacrificed for our country. We have passed down this tradition to our children and grandchildren.
The annual Đống Đa Festival aims to uphold Vietnam's cultural values while educating young generations about the traditions of patriotism and national pride.
I studied hard at school, so my grandfather allowed me to join this festival. I'm very proud.
This year's festival has attracted a large number of visitors. We want to express our gratitude to King Quang Trung.
Our performances were meticulously prepared to authentically recreate the past. Visitors has the opportunity to immerse themselves in the sacred atmosphere of King Quang Trung's glorious victory and his coronation ceremony.
Through the festival, we want to convey our message of national solidarity, creativity, and development. After the sacred rituals, there are many art performances to celebrate the Lunar New Year.
The festival represents national unity, patriotism, and the aspiration for freedom and independence that have been upheld by generations. King Quang Trung's victory inspired the Vietnamese people to defeat foreign invasions and safeguard the nation's independence and sovereignty.
These days, immigration activities at the Lao Cai International Border Gate are bustling, and all procedures are being carried out smoothly. The majority of visitors are Vietnamese tourists traveling to China and Chinese tourists coming to Vietnam for the Lunar New Year holiday. On average, more than 3,000 people apply for immigration procedures through the Lao Cai International Border Gate. Most tours are fully booked before Tet and have been operating since the second day of Tet until now. During the Lunar New Year holiday, Vietnam saw 10.5 million domestic visitors, including about 3.5 million staying guests. Many major tourist hotspots have recorded a double or even triple surge in international arrivals compared to the same period last year. Signs of improvement at the beginning of the year promise a fast-paced year for Vietnamese tourism.
During the 7-day Tet holiday, Hanoi welcomed more than 653,000 visitors, an increase of 2.2 times over the same period last year.
But so far so good, food is amazing, people are absolutely nice, weather is great, so I really enjoy it.
Meanwhile, Quang Ninh welcomed nearly 90,000 international visitors during the holiday. Ninh Binh also welcomed nearly 600,000 visitors, including over 115,000 international visitors. Sarpar and Lao Cai attracted many visitors to the peak of Phansapunk to witness the spring festival of opening Phansapunk Heaven's Gate and the Kentmong Festival.
I feel the sacredness and closeness to heaven and earth when I come here. I hope for everyone to have a peaceful year.
More than 402,000 visitors traveled to Dar Nung to experience the Tet atmosphere in the city and scale Barnar Mountain. In the first 5 days of the Lunar New Year, Bardent Mountain in Tay Ninh welcomed more than 541,000 visitors. Tourists are given a fast lane to travel to different attractions.
Our wish is to bring a spring full of joy and happiness to the summit of Bardent Mountain. We hope tourists visit the sacred mountaintop and worship at the Maitreya Buddha statue. This is the moment visitors start a new year with peace and joy.
During the Tet holiday, Ho Chi Minh City received 1.8 million visitors, with over 75,000 coming from international destinations. Meanwhile, Phu Quoc saw a surge in international visitors, surpassing 44,000, a nearly five-fold increase compared to the previous year. The 7-day Tet holiday marked a promising recovery for Vietnam's tourism industry, indicating progress towards welcoming 18 million international visitors and 110 million domestic visitors throughout the year.
Định Công Village is famous for its silver-making craft and is one of the oldest craft villages in Hanoi. In the past, local goldsmiths were highly skilled at the craft of đậu bạc, which involved winding thin silver strings to create shapes, patterns, and intricate details on silver products. However, nowadays, there are only a few families who continue to practice this traditional craft, including the family of artisan Quách Phan Tuấn Anh. In the following story, we'll explore how he has preserved the art of silver making.
Tuấn Anh treasures these silver artworks, considering them one of his prized possessions. Each product is meticulously handmade. Over the course of more than 20 years, he has dedicated himself to create unique and intricate designs for his products, with the goal of preserving his family's traditional silver-making craft.
Định village is renowned for its silver-making craft. My father was one of the last silversmiths in the village. Thanks to the long-standing reputation, silver products made of Định village have attracted a large number of customers.
Tuấn Anh is the owner of a workshop located inside the temple, dedicated to the founders of silversmithing in Định village. He has provided free training for nearly 100 silversmiths, with the hope of passing down the traditional silver-making craft to younger generations. Lê Đình Sơn is one of the trainees. Initially, Sơn learned the traditional craft as a means of livelihood. However, the more he learned, the more he developed a fondness for the art of silver making.
I had never thought I would pursue this job. While I was learning the traditional craft, I often exchanged knowledge and experiences with other people. I think I'm quite suitable for this job, so I will continue doing it in the future.
I have a passionate interest in the art of silver making and want to diversify my silver products. I have shared my knowledge and skills with young people wholeheartedly. I'm always willing to teach anyone who is as passionate and enthusiastic as I am.
Urbanization in Định village has limited the space available for trade, causing many silversmiths to lose interest in the traditional craft and pursue other jobs. However, due to the requirement of excellent hand skills in silversmithing techniques, Tuấn Anh stands out as one of the few artisans who have preserved this traditional craft. His remarkable efforts have served as an inspiration for young silversmiths, motivating them to continue the legacy of silver making.
Coming up next in our world news. PRABOWO SUBIANTO on track to win an Indonesia presidential race. And Russia close to creating cancer vaccines. Now moving on to our world news. Indonesian Defense Minister PRABOWO SUBIANTO declared victory in Indonesia's presidential election on Wednesday. Preliminary results show him with a significant lead over his rivals, with unofficial counts from some vote counting stations giving him over 55% of the votes. This majority makes a runoff unnecessary. However, PRABOWO acknowledged that he must wait for the official announcement by the Election Commission, which is expected to take about a month. In previous elections, unofficial quick counts by reputable outlets have proven to be accurate. This is the third time PRABOWO SUBIANTO has run for president. The defense minister and his running mate Gibran Rakabuming Raka, the eldest son of current President Joko Widodo, are expected to win by a narrow margin. Germany has surpassed Japan as the third largest economy, following the United States and China. According to Japanese government data released today, Germany's economy was larger than Japan's in 2023. Japan's nominal gross domestic product, or GDP, in 2023 was $4.2 trillion compared to Germany's $4.5 trillion. The yen depreciated more than 18% against the dollar in 2022 and 2023, including a 7% depreciation last year, partly due to the Bank of Japan maintaining negative interest rates. Both Germany and Japan are facing similar major issues of labor shortages, declining birth rates, and aging populations. However, Japan's situation is more acute than Germany's. Russian President Vladimir Putin announced on Wednesday that Russian scientists were nearing the development of cancer vaccines that could soon be accessible to patients. Speaking at a Moscow Forum on Future Technologies, Russian President Putin expressed hope that these vaccines would be utilized effectively as individual therapy. However, he did not provide details regarding the specific types of cancer these proposed vaccines would target or the methods they would employ. According to the World Health Organization, there are currently 6 licensed vaccines available to prevent cancer, including cervical cancer. Additionally, vaccines against hepatitis B or HBV, which can lead to liver cancer, are also available. In January 2024, Colombia saw more than 400 forest fires in mountains, moors, and forests that have put flora and animal species at risk, Colombian authorities reported on Thursday. Scorched forest areas in the country could be at risk of not regenerating as Colombia faces a prolonged drought, threatening the country's rich biodiversity.
In Cundinamarca, in central Colombia, almost 1,400 were scorched, and in Santander 1,066 hectares burned through. Wildlife has also been affected. At least 224 animals of different species were rescued from the fires, both domestic and wild fauna. Countless others lost in the fires.
If the dry season is extended until April, we would certainly have more than 80% of the municipalities with water supply problems for human consumption. If there is no water for human consumption, obviously there will be no water for the fauna, and obviously the flora will be deeply affected. As environmental authorities, we have difficulties with the restoration processes and reforestation processes when there are prolonged droughts, because the small trees that are starting their growth process demand a lot of water resources.
With the El Niño phenomena sweeping the region, some 300 municipalities in the country are now under water stress.
What is happening especially with the El Niño phenomenon is that we have temperatures that exceed historical records to date. That is to say, never in any year, on any other day in Colombia and in any country, have we had the high temperature records that we are having today, and obviously this has affected the land, it has affected the fauna and the flora.
All these conditions could create a perfect storm for Colombia's environment. The South American country is listed as one of the world's most megadiverse countries, with some 10% of the planet's biodiversity.
Now, before we say goodbye, let's take a look at the weather forecast. And that's all the news we have for this hour. To rewatch our program, you can download our mobile app at VTVgo or check out our YouTube channel, VTV4Go. Thank you for watching and see you next time.